But right now we are very happy to have with us once again State Senator Mike Nofs. Good morning, Mike.
Morning, Tim. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's great to have you here again. There's a lot to talk about in Michigan politics. And, we had the news story about the Regional Manufacturing Technology Center and how, they're going to expand again. And I know you had a hand in that.
Yeah, we did. Usually any college projects, we fund approximately half of what the request is. And they come in front of the Capital Outlay Committee, which I'm a member. And they came up there and, we listened to them. And it's a good project. And we had the money, so we okayed it about, I think it was 6 months ago.
That's excellent. We're doing a lot of really positive things right now in the Battle Creek community, and the Regional Manufacturing Technology Center certainly one of those big things that we need to keep improving and expanding, because we want people to come here and do business, and this is a great opportunity. We had somebody call in to win the donuts a couple of times, and he's a student out there, learning a trade, and is going to be a very valuable employee for somebody when he gets through that, and it's just very impressive what difference that thing can make.
Mark O'Connell, president of KCC, is doing a great job, and I love KCC. If it wasn't for KCC, I probably wouldn't have started my college career. Couldn't afford it. It was the only option I could afford, and they did a great job, I think, and I love that place, and I love to see it grow and continue to help individuals in the area obtain their goals and their dreams.
Yeah, they'll be showcasing the new gym and that facility before long, too.
I used to spend a lot of time there, racquetball, basketball, skipping class, once in a while. I had pickup games with the instructors, the professors and stuff, and it was a lot of fun, and tennis. So I enjoyed my time there. It was really, really good.
It's nice now you can kind of own up to skipping class,
right.
Now that New Year's Eve is your final day as a state senator.
There you go.
A member of the Michigan legislature. You've been there longer, I think, than anybody right now. Because of term limits, you can only serve 4 years as a senator, so you had both of your terms, plus partial term before that you served.
Mark Schauer, because he left and became our congressperson.
Right.
And so he left 2 years early and held a special election. Governor Granholm called the special election. I won that, so that doesn't count against your term limits. I'm filling his term out.
Yep. So you are the old man when it comes to...
longest serving, not old man. Longest serving. There is a difference.
I was going to qualify it. I'm sure there are.
I'm not the oldest up there. Right? There's a couple other senators a little older than I am.
A couple of things in the news. I know that you've got a bill that's they're working on. I don't know what the status of it is, but you want to basically get an association with state police and schools.
Yeah. There's a what they call school safety project that was in this budget. It's $58 million. $30 million of the 58 would go to increase mental health support services within our schools, because as you see these tragedies happen, especially these young individuals that are committing them, a lot of them have mental health problems, and I think we need to do a better job before they do something to try to get to them, get them the assistance and the special needs that they need to be able to take care of some of their problems, so they don't act out the way they do sometimes, and what they pull these very terrible, disastrous events.
So this school safety office, how would this idea work? What would it look like?
Well, like I said, 30 million goes to mental health services. I work with a school nurse program, and a lot of schools already have that, and complement those types of services. Also, then local police departments and sheriff's departments will be able to make grants to the grant requests to the Michigan State Police to be able to do assessments on their local schools for safety needs. What do they need? And then they'd be able to make grants where there is no match to be able to fund those needs. And then if they wanted more money, there'd be a partial match, and they could assess more money to be able to help them finish the project if they wanted bigger requirements to be able to help shore up and make their schools more secure physically.
I see. And this is in a committee right now?
No, I actually passed the budget. It's out, and the governor signed it, so the money will be available starting
oh my gosh
soon. Matter of fact, I think they'll have the grant deadline is October 1st or 30th. I can't remember exactly what my bill said, but I think it was October 30th. So schools will be getting notice of it right away.
That's great news. I looked that one up, and I missed that part. Yeah. So, my gosh, that's moving right along. That's great.
Yeah, we got that one done. The governor signed it last week.
Well, he signed a lot of things last week. The budget, first and foremost, and it seems like, it seems like we're getting better at that. I don't know, am I right?
Yeah, we've done a great job in 8 years since he came in. We used to, Governor Grandome, we'd work right up to the end of the fiscal year, which is September 30th, and October 1st, the new budget year starts, and this governor wanted to have it done by the fiscal years that the locals operate under. Their local fiscal years, like for school districts and townships, cities, and counties, start July 1st of every year, generally, most of them. And
Yeah.
so we wanted to get our budget done so they could recognize, be able to set their budgets, understand how much support they were going to be getting from the state so they could have their budgets passed on time. And able to do that, we have to have ours passed by around the first week in June. And we're able to do that 8 years in a row. This is the 8th year, and so we've accomplished his goal every year, and it helps all the locals, and they're very appreciative of that.
What do you like about it, Mike? I would probably guess pretty good support for education.
Huge support for education, getting the biggest increase they have in 17 years, about approximately $240 per student increase for next year, which is just really, really big. It's about, I want to say about $15 billion for education we'll be spending this year out of the $56 billion budget. That's how much we spend on education in Michigan. And so with that increase, universities will get $28 million more, and there are other education of at-risk students will be getting more money. So there's a lot of increases in education this year. So I don't think school districts be hollering the state isn't doing their fair share.
And the roads, where are we at with that?
Well, the roads, I think since the last 2 years, we've added approximately $2.2 billion to the road funding we originally had just from 2 years ago. And so we put another $330 million in it this year, in addition to what we were going to do. And so we'll have a total of $2.2 billion extra just in the last 2 years, over and above what we were doing just 3 years ago. And so there'll be a lot of orange barrels out there this summer and through the fall and next year, next summer. There'll be a lot of money and projects going, so you're going to have a lot of construction areas for the next 2 years.
And of course, there have been tax increases and the like to make that happen, because as anybody in Michigan can tell you, it's a priority. We got to get these roads back well in hand before they totally get away from us. And plus we're a tourism state. It's very important. We had a candidate, Matt Hall, in here Monday. One of the things Matt said was, look, the gas tax should go to all go to the roads, Michigan gas tax, and it doesn't. A large portion of it, he said, goes to somewhere else. We need to pull that in and use that on the roads.
Well, Matt's a little bit behind the time. We did that 2 years ago. We found about $200 million that was going out to other departments. We pulled that all in. Senator John Prose had a bill that accomplished that. He's from Berrien County, and I think part of Cass County is his district. Does a great job and researched all that, because that was true a couple of years ago. But we pulled all that money back. We backfilled the money we took from those other departments with general fund money, but all road dollars now go to the roads, and all the increased money in taxes are dedicated solely to the roads. So people could say that 2 years ago, but we fixed that problem.
Okay. What else does the budget do? I think it trains police officers.
It does. We put another $12 million in there to hire another 155 state troopers next year. We're getting up to where we were back when I left the state police in 2002, 2003. We had about 1,300 to 1,400 troopers on the road. We're just getting up to that 1,400 mark again. We were down some 800 or 900 troopers in the last 8 years, and we're finally getting back there. So we're getting those levels we had back in 2002. So that's a good thing. We've also provided $10 million for new correctional officers to replace some of them that we haven't replaced recently, and their numbers have been really low. And then we've done a really good program that's really helped prisoners who are getting ready to leave the prison system come back into society. Got a new program, new campus within the correction center that actually educates them, and a lot of them in food technology, and they become small business owners when they leave, and they get some help and grants to be able to become productive members of society and not go back to the life of crime. And it's really, really been successful. And so we put another $2 million into that program to prepare prisoners for life after prison. And so our recidivism rate has really gone down. People aren't leaving prison and coming back. Our numbers are down. We're down about 10,000 prisoners just in the last few years, from I think it was 50,000 down to around 40,000, I think it is. And we're doing a good job there. And now we're actually going to close another prison next year because we have less prisoners.
Yeah, which one is that going to be? Have we decided?
They haven't decided. We left that up to the department. They know best which way to handle their department and where they can consolidate and
Hmm.
where they have the services that they need and where the requirements are. And so we left it up to them, but they are going to close one.
You mentioned your state police career, by the way. I was talking to somebody the other day, said, "Oh, I remember when I was a student at Harper Creek and Mike Nofs was the officer friendly would come in."
It was. That was a great program. I love that. That started my old days at Marshall Police Department back in the 70s. I was their original first officer friendly program. And I still have the advisor front page where they had me in a picture kneeling down with a bike and inspecting a bike for one of the kids for that summer. I'm a lot younger looking and stuff, but I do remember those great days, and that was a lot of fun. Best part of the job is talking to the younger generation.
One other thing on the budget, veterans.
Oh yeah, we did a good. I chaired that with Dr. Bizon, who also does a great job in being chair of Veterans and Homeland Security individual programs. But what we did is we invested an additional $600 million to have a new outreach program for Vietnam vets. When Vietnam vets came back, they got their GI Bill, a lot of them got their education, they did that and figured all their benefits were done. But now they're getting older and they're my age. They're starting to get in some health problems. There are a lot of programs they still qualify for that they've forgotten about. And so we put $600,000 just to outreach to Vietnam vets and let them know, hey, as you get old and you start having these health problems, there are these programs that you're entitled to, so don't forget them. And please, especially a lot of people who don't have and have a hard time keeping insurance, you do have an avenue if you're a veteran. And so we're trying to reach out to them and give them some more money for that. So there's some other things that we're doing too for the we gave $2.1 million because every county doesn't have a veterans services program. Where Calhoun County, we've always had a veterans officer out of our veterans services out of the Toller building. A lot of counties didn't, and so now every county will have a veterans service officer with the help of the state this year, helping them fund those programs for those counties that didn't have the money. And so every veteran in every state will have their own service officer that they can go to at the county level that they'll be able to access and find out what services they're eligible for.
State Senator Mike Nofs, 19th District State Senator. He served a decade, I guess. Pretty close.
16 years.
Yeah, but I mean, just as the state senator. Right?
Oh yeah, 10 years. Yep.
Yeah. And county commissioner and board chair for many years before that.
10 years before that.
You mentioned a little bit about how we have a veteran officer out of Calhoun County, and it dawned on me at that point, that county experience probably prepared you pretty well, but also gave you a really good point of view on how to govern from the state level.
It really did. I mean, the background it gave me, there are a lot of individuals come up to me thinking about getting politics, and I encourage them to do that. But I tell them you should start at your local level, whether it be the township or the county level, and get some experience, understand what running for office means. At a smaller level, because when you go to the state level, it's a little bit bigger and a little bit more involved. And then also you can hone your skills on and learn how to work with individuals you don't agree with all the time, and yet still be civil and get something done for the township or the county that you're trying to serve on. There are a lot of good deeds that you learn while you're serving at that local level that really do help you and prepare you once you get up to state, because you're talking about major issues then.
Sure, and those major issues have a big impact on these smaller municipalities, these townships, these counties, everything that lawmakers do up there. I mean, they might be for great reasons, but you kind of have to look at how it's going to affect, I want to say, the little guy, because I mean that's the most direct form of government that we have. You can go down to the township and talk to the people.
It's the best form of government, that closest to the people, where I can right from here go to City Hall and walk in and talk to the commissioners or city manager, and try to get a hold of someone on your federal level out of Grand Rapids. So that government closest to you, I've always thought was probably the best government, and best run government, and they do a great job. And so it is very, very important, and the experience is just so beneficial in helping you, as well as like when you're in the caucus up there with all your other senators, and you're talking about the issues. A lot of them don't have that experience, and so when you speak and you say, I'm a former county commissioner, 10 years, county board chair, 5 of the 10 years I was on the county board. Here's why that's not a good idea. This is what the counties have to do when we do this up here. And so it really does give some life experiences what people think would be a good idea, but in actual practicality and application, it's a lot different perspective, because because you've been there and done that and understand when the state sends this with this requirement, what it does to that local unit of government.
Yep, it's very good that you have that experience and that a lot of others up in Lansing do. If you were a chef, Mike, preparing a state legislature instead of a gourmet meal, what ingredients do you think, based on your experience, would go into a good and successful government?
I think the best thing you could do is listen first. You don't have all the ideas. You don't have all the answers. You understand that from the get-go. You might have ideas you think would work, but you should have sounding boards up there. And when you actually present your issue or what you think is an answer to your issue or a dilemma that the state finds itself in, it's good to then sit back and listen to all the other individual perspectives that come up from different areas of life, different experiences they have. And then so listening and understanding and taking it and having tolerance. There are some people that are very passionate about what they do believe. Still being able to develop that way of interjecting your opinion, why that might not be such a great idea without making them very mad. And some people are just very, very pushy. And so you have to learn to be able to still take that pushiness as well as still give back some good feedback to them to help them be a better legislature. And then as you do that more and more with that individual, they come to understand and respect you, that you're not trying to hurt them and or say that they don't know what the heck they're talking about. You're actually trying to help them with their idea and get it across the finish line so they can get the votes to get it done. Because they don't get the votes to get it done, no matter how good your idea is, it never will happen.
I think it's valuable to have a really diversified workforce up there in the state legislature. I mean, obviously we want lawyers, we want doctors, we like having policemen. It'd be nice to have a couple truck drivers.
Yep.
School teachers.
It's really, really helpful to have all those diverse experiences coming up there. I think of my best friend up there that left 4 years early, Senator Bruce Caswell, who represented Hillsdale and Branch County. He was a former superintendent of public schools. He was a tax assessor for the local townships. And when it came to tax issues, it was so nice to be able to sit with him in the room. Actually, I sat next to him. And when we were talking about taxes or tax increases or changing tax law, it is so complicated. It'd take you years to be able to understand it, but to have someone in the room that has that experience, like a Dave Mange, I'm sure he's very valuable in his caucus and helping out, because I know I talked to him and worked with him on this recent personal property tax bill that we did, helping the city of Battle Creek. There's an arrangement the city had, and it saved them because I was able to articulate that and get it into his bill. We were able to save the city next year $2.5 million. And so, you got to know how to be able to talk to those people in Treasury who are tax experts that work for the system and be able to articulate why what's happening in your district, why they need this help, and they need to be able to, they're unique. We were there with TIFA districts way before they were even happening at the state level in the city of Battle Creek. You remember way back in the 70s, we started with Battle Creek Unlimited. We were in the forefront of all those tax laws. It was nice to have Dave Mange in there to be able to sit down with me and explain and make the presentation to Treasury and say, Mike Nofs has a valid concern here, and I'm willing to change my bill, which he did, which did get into the bill. And so Battle Creek City is going to be the benefactor of $2.5 million extra next year, or get what they were getting the year before.
Senator Mike Nofs. We'll have you back here again real soon. We'll talk a little bit more about Michigan government, Michigan government.
I love it. Thanks, Tim.
And maybe we'll take some calls next time.
Okay.